Hello, everyone, and welcome to this universe's apocalyptic event, where the hope falls in the ones like us that still bring quality content in spite having to deal with pandemics. I am your host, the illustrious Kainaji, and joining me today we have the beautiful, the legend, that myth we know exists, Jalva.
I thought Miss weren't alive. Am I dead
We're
now?
not live?
No, we're good. We're good.
We're good? We're good?
We're good.
Oh,
We're good.
yes!
We're good.
Sure? Are
Yes,
you sure?
we're
I'm
good.
on the YouTube thing and it doesn't say
We
we're
are good.
live.
I got the notification. We are good. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, we are live.
Wait,
we are
no,
live.
we're live on the second one. What? Hold up. Hold on.
Huh?
Hold up.
Hey guys.
Hold on.
Yes, and also the guy that disagrees with everything. Oz, say hi.
I disagree.
Let's just keep going. Let's just
Alright,
run
alright,
with this.
alright.
You know,
Alright, okay.
let's say a blip. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
It has been so hard getting a proper live stream going, gentlemen. I gotta. Before we really go along with the intro, I just gotta say this. It's the second week in a row where, for some reason, we just have 3,000 problems at the same time going live. It gets really annoying really fast, but we're live. Hopefully next week we actually manage to understand how we managed to properly get live. I don't know. The hell with it.
Do you guys have the link for that? Because I'll just post that in the chat for the other one. Because I don't.
So
see
at the
wherever.
So at the moment, it's streaming the second episode. We are live under the title of the second epised.
Yeah, it is.
Wait.
We're under IndieHub's Gamecast episode 2, The Inconveniences of the Virus and Gamer Gripes.
This is chaos. This is so. Well,
Okay.
How did that happen?
Let me change the title, I guess.
All right, I'm just gonna go in there and I'm gonna tell everyone to go over. To...
This is so confusing.
I don't know why this is happening.
There you go. I think it's updated, right?
Let me see.
Right?
Let me check.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It is.
we're
I
good.
checked.
We're good. Okay.
Okay, we're good. All right. I'm sorry for this, everyone. It's just
We're so
been
good at this.
so hard to get this properly going for some reason. We don't really understand why. Like the new Go Live system just doesn't work. It gives us the stream key. I give the stream key to Jalvi, which is hosting the podcast, and it just decides to not work for some reason. We don't understand why. I had to resort to the legacy mode on YouTube and then go live through there, but it somehow pulled the episode 2, not the episode 3.
That's how you know it's a good system. It's a. Good
It is.
It
It
is
is
a
really
fantastic
weird.
system.
What matters is we're live. Let's just get this going with, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So today's podcast is going to be a bit different because instead of having bulletin news, we're going to have around 30 to 40 minutes of sick burns to give to the Sony press conference.
I'm going to fight so hard, guys. If there anyone else that likes the Sony PlayStation, I will be your voice. Also, just spam the comments. Spam them.
Yes,
Okay,
spam.
spam them, I guess.
Spam it in the comments.
Well, as well as introducing a new segment. Yes, new segment. Towards the end of the podcast, where we kind of go through all the main game releases coming from Sunday all the way to next Sunday. Mainly because I think we need to focus also on indies, and this is going to be AAA games and indies being released, and we can shine a pretty good spotlight on some of those. Obviously, we can't really go through all the releases. We don't really have to do them, so we have to go by a few games and to let go a few games and focus some of them that we know are coming. But first, let's talk about Doom.
Yes.
We made a video this week on Doom 2016. You guys should check that out. It did far better than I expected when I was talking to people that.
Everyone.
When I was talking to Jalvi and Oz, I kind of predicted around 30 to 32 views. We're currently at 45. This is great for us, obviously. We are trying to grow as fast and as consistent as possible and see a improvement of around 10 to 15 views. Beautiful. Absolutely great. But we're not going to be talking about Doom 2016. We're really going to be talking about Doom Eternal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I
So good.
assume none of the two of you really played Doom Eternal
No.
right now.
No.
I've played like small bits of it just for fun.
Okay,
Small
you played
bits.
small bits of it. Okay, so let's start with you. What are your thoughts on Doom Eternal?
It's a little bit more of the same with Doom, but that's kind of what I wanted from a Doom 2016 sequel, because the gameplay is just super smooth. Like they just built upon the gameplay that was there, as opposed to what are we laughing at?
I drank a little bit of this, and so some of it just fell down.
You know, I thought I was just like, what am I saying wrong here, guys?
No. Keep going.
Just like, no, he's just yeah, no. I don't really like a lot of first-person shooters, but I liked the original Doom, and Doom 2016 felt like the original Doom, but with like updated graphics. And this really does feel like an expansion on that. Like it's evolving. It's not necessarily revolutionizing Doom, but it is evolving, which I thought is fun, and I'm excited to play more of it.
I disagree slightly with you there, but where where are you playing it? PlayStation 4, PC? What can you tell me about your experience?
I was playing on PC.
You're playing it on PC, okay? And do you have a machine that's good, medium?
I have a very good machine.
You have a very good machine. Can you tell me a little bit about your specs so that I can compare it with mine?
Yeah. Let me go pull them up exactly.
While you're pulling it up, I'll talk a little bit about my experience. In my experience, I played literally every Doom from the main franchise. We're not talking about spin-offs because, come on, we don't play Doom RPG. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But Doom 1, Doom 2, even Doom 64, Doom 3, obviously the Doom 2016 finished it twice now for the purposes of the retrospective this week. And I gotta say, Doom Eternal is everything I wanted better from Doom 2016. Everything. From combat being fast-paced, filled with excitement, the strafing around, the hooking you to an enemy and just shotgun blasting them out of this world. It feels incredibly smooth, incredibly great. And where I disagree slightly with you is, you said it didn't really do anything specific to improve upon Doom 2016.
Well, what I said is it evolved. It didn't revolutionize. It didn't like completely change the gameplay. It just added stuff.
I think it did revolutionize. I think it, in my opinion, I'm 3.5 hours in.
Yeah, it might be not there yet.
Sets a stone to what every first-person shooter that focuses on a campaign should be. They never stop the pacing. They keep going at it. They keep delivering us great fast-paced action. They always throw a curveball at you. They always throw something new at you. They also did that with Doom 2016, but around the halfway point, it stopped. But thanks to Doom Eternal expanding on literally everything, it doesn't seem to feel like that, because every single time I was fighting the same zombies, they were different. For example, from the zombies on Earth, they had different outlines, different sprites, and that might not really seem like it's a lot, but it changes how you look at things. Plus the scenarios, every single level I went through, and I went through 4 levels, they all felt completely different from each other. The first level is Earth's completely destroyed. Everything is beautiful. Second level actually literally takes you in a completely different way, taking you to like some sort of a Doom world where the previous Doom Slayers were, and it's completely different. It has a totally different feel from the red you're used to seeing, and taking a more greenish mixed with plants approach, which is really beautiful. And then the third level takes you literally through guts from giant demons. That's basically the main premise of the map, and giant Doom Slayers just fucking. Oh no, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and that's the evolution I'm talking about. They
Well, I mean, like I was talking about like the main gameplay rather than like the visuals. I mean, obviously the visuals and the environments do add to gameplay. I was just talking mostly about the core gameplay stayed basically the same.
Finishing off this statement of the gameplay, instead of taking the generic map number 35, upgrades to variety of maps, and the weapons pack a even bigger punch in relation to Doom 2016, which I thought it was impossible. Every time you shoot someone with a shotgun, their flesh literally gets ripped out, and you see the skeletons. And that's just a great feeling, knowing that you're giving damage and you're seeing that damage show up. That's one of the revolutionary steps I hope another first-person shooter implements. We're used to seeing bodies fly out, for example, if you shoot a grenade on Duty World War, the first Call of Duty 5.
Yeah.
I said the first Call of Duty 5. There's only one Call of Duty 5.
Go ahead.
The Call of Duty 5, if you throw a grenade, like the body spread, just goes insane. But not insane Doom Eternal insane, where you shoot someone here, you actually see their guts, and if you shoot another enemy that's literally the same, and you shoot them in the arm, the guts are not going to show up, but the arm, the bone of the arm shows up, and that's something so good that I hope other first-person shooters take note. The weapons feel kind of similar, but at the same time they don't, because again, the packing a punch really makes a difference. The super shotgun is treated as one of the main weapons. It literally gives you a grappling hook, where you literally should.
Whoa, KJ,
Your mic exploded. Your mic exploded, my dude. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
It's like staticky.
Yeah, did it get disconnected with something?
Oz, talk me about your spec.
Talking about my specs. Yeah, so I've got it's a Dell G7 i17. It's the newer Dell. It's got Intel Core i7. CPU's at 260 gigahertz. It's a 6-core. It's got the NVIDIA discrete graphic card. I don't know. That's what they call it. The installed physical memory is 16 gigabytes.
So
me or
no.
Okay.
So when it comes to, I don't know. For me, whenever because you play on a laptop, right?
Yes.
Yeah. For me, NVIDIA integrated graphics aren't necessarily the greatest, in my opinion. Like,
not the best, but
right.
Like,
it works, but it's not the best. Like, it's absolutely not the best. But like, from just seeing or like just reviewing some articles online, I think a website ended up getting 40 FPS at like 8K resolutions with Doom Eternal. I feel like
and remembering everything on max settings.
Yeah, everything was on max settings. And it was at 40 FPS. That just kind of shows you just how good and optimized this in-game is, and it's absolutely incredible.
Very true. I'm currently running the game with the 2060 Super and a Ryzen 7 3700X with 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's my current setup. And while I was streaming and taking 16% of my CPU just for streaming, I was pulling 120 to 150 frames with everything on high and ultra, and then I cranked it up to ultra nightmare, which is basically the main setting Wait, why are you laughing? What's
Just the name of the settings that Doom Eternal
Oh,
has.
nightmare.
It's like Ultra Nightmare. It's like, yes, this is going to put a nightmare on your computer.
get graphics that intense?
I drink your CPU for a living now.
I own your computer.
I was pulling way above 100, 90, 100, 120 frames in some occasions, and that's on the very high settings. Basically, the game on Ultra is called Ultra Nightmare, and I was able to pull it off.
Yeah.
They recommend a 2080 if you want to run the game on its kind of highest, which is 4K. But with a 2060, I can run it on Ultra Nightmare while streaming, which just shows how greatly optimized this game is.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible. Bethesda, I hate saying this, but Bethesda did a great job here. Absolute performance.
That particular studio.
It's software.
It's software
It's
and
software.
Bethesda. Yeah.
Yeah, it's software.
That's what I will say, though. That's kind of what makes games so good. Is, first of all, from just seeing kind of Jesus' stream, because I'm a moderator on his stream, just watching his stream and just seeing all those parts fly out as he was shooting the monsters, that just makes the gunplay, even though I haven't played it myself, but that makes the game like super satisfying in a way, because for me, I just love killing like mobs in like Destiny 2.
Guys, do not take that out of context.
Please
Yeah.
I love
I
killing.
I like to kill
What an
AI
itch.
characters, NPCs. But no, like, even playing in Destiny 2 or something like that, just having a wave of enemies and then just blasting through all of them is just so satisfying, and doing it in such an optimized way that will still give you 60, 144 FPS, 240 FPS. That is incredible. And that is probably one of the greatest things that Doom has done, is they complemented a great gameplay system with fantastic graphics, and they do it on optimized graphics settings, which is incredible. But one thing that I'm kind of confused about is that Doom Eternal shipped with no DRM.
What do you
I'm
mean?
glad you
It's
brought that
the
up.
best. It's
Yeah,
it's
And
definitely
so
there.
there's literally pirates having a field day right now.
All right, so let me explain the process behind this. Okay, Jalva actually researched this. It was researching this as he was talking to me. I told him, "No, stop!
Yeah.
Don't,
Yeah.
stop! Just don't
Yep,
do this. I
yep.
want to talk about this on stream. I
Yep.
want your honest to God reaction on stream." So here's the full story behind that. Right, a couple of either weeks or months ago, don't really know. I believe on a Q&A, Bethesda confirmed that this game was going to have the new move. And we can do an entire stream just talking about the new and how I think the nouveau almost kills video games. But long story short, the nouveau is kind of a anti-piracy system that constantly shifts the code of the game and sends that information to a server, and that server validates that that information is being translated in a correct way. That's why it's really hard for some games to be cracked with the nouveau, because if a line of code is constantly being changed, how do you create an algorithm to predict those changes and send those changes back to a server in a correct way? That's why it's really hard for some games to be cracked. Now, we've reached a point where the pirates can crack de novo. Sometimes it takes a day, 2 days. Others take a week. And Bethesda was confirmed to have de novo on Doom Eternal. However, let's call him Billy the Autistic. Billy the Autistic decided that he really doesn't like de novo, so long story short, Bethesda released the game with no de novo whatsoever.
Perfect. It's so good. It's the best way of getting the game.
So they released. They paid, because you need to pay to have de novo. They paid thousands of dollars.
Making the economy work, my man.
to have the release date, because usually de novo is just used for the first sales because they know the game's going to be cracked, so they focus on making sure the first day or two is not crackable, so that they can have those sales. But Billy the Autistic released the build of Doom Eternal that the executable is meant for game developers and doesn't have de novo. So
yeah. I mean, it makes sense personally.
It does
I mean,
not make any sense at all.
It's totally makes sense. You know, you're working on that version, the other version that's got the de novo on it. So you know, it's good. It's good. It's fine.
No, but here's the thing, though. Bethesda, even though they made a fantastic game, literally just released it for free. That's actually what they did. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars on an anti-piracy software, and it doesn't even work. They didn't even use it.
Anti-piracy is stupid. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Okay,
it does more damage to games than it needs to.
Okay, let's quickly run by why de novo doesn't really work, because I feel that this conversation might be taken out of context very simply. Are we against piracy? I'm kind of in between.
Same.
Oh, let me explain my point, and then I'll give you guys time to talk about your points on piracy in specific. I think it's okay to pirate a game. Allow me to explain. We used to live in a world where we had demos that we could theoretically test and run on our machines to see if it works, if it just works. In my opinion, I would never pirate something like Resident Evil 3 or Resident Evil 2 because they gave me a demo that I could test and see if my machine runs okay or if I'm even enjoying the game to begin with. And when we made a jump from demos to Steam, most Steam games, if not like 95% of them, don't have demos. So how do you know you're going to like a game without really experiencing it? That's why I'm not completely against pirate games. Now, if you really enjoy a game like Witcher 3, for example, and you don't go out of your way to buy it, that's where I'm kind of against you right here, because you're basically enjoying something that's meant to be taken, to be consumed and paid for, because real people developed that game, and you're playing it without really giving an incentive to the game developers to do a sequel. When you can argue against me saying I don't have money to buy 100 games, then don't buy them. Hopefully you're not going to die tomorrow or next week. So buy your games when you can afford to.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. Now I want to hear your opinion, Java.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat because I did used to pirate video games in the past, I will admit. But that was mainly just to, again, test out games that I don't know would run, because I have a relatively old system that's around 5 to 10 generations old at the time. And so I was like, okay, well, can my system run it? I don't want to, because here's the thing. Back when Modern Warfare released, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, this new one, back when it first released, it had tons and tons and tons of issues on my computer. And because it had tons and tons of issues, I tried time and time again to fix them. But it just didn't work. So I reached out to Blizzard, Activision, to kind of get a refund. But they couldn't refund me because apparently I played too much of the game, so I can't even enjoy the game that I paid for in the first place. And that is super, super frustrating. So yes, on that end, pirating video games and downloading pirated games in order to test your hardware, I'm all for it. But if you are enjoying a game but you are not giving the proper attributions, or you're not helping the developer in any sort of way, you're a POS in all honesty. That's all I have to say.
Agreed. Awesome.
I'm gonna throw out my take. I think pirating indie games specifically is toxic and bad, because that money goes directly to the developers, which are generally one person.
Yeah.
I don't think most of those get pirated anyway.
Hopefully.
and half of them normally have demos anyway, like because
Yeah.
most indie developers are great. That money that you put down for your deluxe editions for that doesn't really go back to the developer. It goes to the company. Most developers get paid a salary during the actual process of making the game.
Very true.
So I don't really necessarily care if you like a game and you pirate it.
Let me just correct you on one thing. If a game sells very well, some companies actually throw incentives to some members of a specific game.
Yeah.
Some members.
Yeah,
some members, yes. Not usually the ones that are doing crunch time, and also it's definitely not Bethesda. Bethesda's not one of them.
Yeah.
Bethesda's not one of them. EA's not one of them. Square Enix
Probably.
is not one of them.
Probably.
I mean, here's the thing.
Individuals are going to be the ones that didn't really do a lot of the work. It's just
Correct.
the truth. But I'm saying if you can afford it and you want to pay for the game, pay for the game. I don't want to, I'm not going to tell you not to buy a game. I'm just saying for those that are like, don't have that type of money and they want to, play a game, I'm not going to look down on them if they can't afford it.
Right.
You shouldn't have to decide between video games or food. That's ridiculous. But most people don't have to do that. And
Obviously,
I don't think
we always go for video games.
Yeah, clearly that's the choice you make. You make the video game choice. Hello. But
On a serious note,
you can
take
go
care
a
of
week
your
without
health.
food.
Take care of your health first, please.
No, I'm gonna throw it no. No, but really take care of yourself. But I don't feel terrible when multi-billion-dollar companies don't make more multi-billions. That's my personal opinion. I'm not going to get into a political debate, and I don't think anyone in the comments should, because that's just a toxic thing.
For the first time, I actually agree with you. First time for everything.
It won't happen.
I think for
the
the
next
first
thing.
time, I think for the first time in history, we have all agreed on it.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! It happened.
Crunch time is definitely a topic that we're going to be talking about in the foreseeable future,
Oh yeah.
especially in light of this year and last year.
Mhm.
Even probably next week. I don't want to tease a lot of things because it's too soon to actually program what we're going to be doing next week. We need to be in contact with news in order to actually speak about them, and it's a topic we've been wanting to talk about for a while. And it's definitely happening within the next set of news. I already have a huge ton of exposition dumps. Anthem is included for sure.
Anthem is great. I don't like Anthem, but I will fight for Anthem for fun.
But to close this topic, let me try to explain why Denuvo is a really bad idea on video games. It has been proven time and time again that when you implement de novo in a video game, de novo is gonna get you lower frame rates. There's no two ways about it. You can show me one example where it doesn't. I'll show you an example of that same game where it actually does. A beautiful example is Assassin's Creed, where the cracked version had almost 20 frames more than the de novo version, which is supposed to be the better version because it's original.
Right.
Am I saying you should crack Assassin's Creed Origins or the Odyssey? I don't remember which one it was. Not really.
Right.
You can get it pretty cheap. There's no real reason to do so. But between the two versions, one is definitely better, and the one that's better is never supposed to be the pirated version.
Right.
Now, yes, it boosts your game sales, but at the compromise of sometimes your players are not really going to get a good experience out of it because they have lower frames. It's not like everyone can afford a PC like mine or Oz's PC. Some people are in Jalvi's fields where they don't really have a bigger PC. And 10, sometimes even 5 frames really make a difference. And if the Nuvo takes out those 5 frames from you, it's going to be really bad for you as a company.
Yeah. Just kind
Honestly,
of.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just think about it this way, right? If the Nuvo takes off 5 frames and your computer runs the game at around 40 FPS normally, then if the Nuvo was integrated, you would be at around 30 to 35 frames, and that is a big jump in terms of performance, and because generally the higher the frame rate is, the smoother the gameplay is. That's how the eye works, that's how resolution works. So the higher frame rate you guys have, the more smoother it's going to be, the more accurate you're going to be. That's just how it is. So if the Nuvo takes out 5 frames and you're already running at 40 frames, 40 frames is generally my limit when it comes to frame rates, and then it gets really, really choppy. So if
30 frames isn't that bad.
Well,
Of course, you
yeah.
say that because you're a PlayStation 4 guy.
But
Well, PlayStation. I have the Pro. I don't have the PlayStation. I mean, I do have the PlayStation 4 normal, but I have the Pro, which does do 60.
yeah,
Okay.
but like, even then, like back in the old days, that was way that same topic could be applied incredibly more, right? Because as time goes on, people are more kind of used to the higher frame rates. People are used to the higher smoothness, and so basically, if you have less frames, you become a bad gamer. Sorry, but that's just literally
Kinda
how it
proven.
is. Yeah.
All right. Do any of you have any more closing statements here?
No,
Us?
I'm pretty good with where we at right now because
All right.
I'm revving up. I have all my stuff ready.
So speaking of PS,
Hold on a minute.
4. Uh-oh, KJ's warming up. KJ is warming up.
Listen, we all know. Everyone knows. It's fine. It's fine.
It is not fine. Excuse me.
Wonderful. It's great. It was a fine conference for what it was.
Moving up to the main event of this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk the PlayStation 5. Now, before we get to the proper main event, which was the PlayStation 5 conference,
It was not what it was called. It was Road to PlayStation 5.
Ooh.
Get the title correct.
what's the big difference there? Excuse me.
Nothing, but I'm being, just a little nitpicky to start with.
He's
I
being
have to disagree with everything.
he's
It's
being
part of the
snarky.
content. Part of the content.
Okay. All right.
Sorry for all headphone users, which includes all of us.
There you go.
I don't mind it.
So, for years now, and this is actual proper years, Sony has been kind of talking on and off about the PlayStation 5, confirming it. They were developing it, giving a few spotlights here and there that it's coming, it's definitely coming, and finally, after all this time, the very first press conference really focusing on the PlayStation 5, and we don't count the logo. We really don't count the goddamn PlayStation 5 logo.
I don't
conference.
count that. I don't count that either. That was
Okay.
literally like, oh, the thing we already knew what it was going to look
Yeah.
like.
That was even
That
worse.
was the
if I-
weirdest.
At least
I'm
we
not
can
gonna
all
defend
agree with that.
That was weird.
At least we
yeah.
can all agree with that.
All right, I know you've been all waiting for this. Okay, come on, boy, show us the PlayStation 5. Yes, I will, but not today. Here's the logo.
Yep,
Clap.
yep.
Yeah, that was clap for me.
All right.
Damn it.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. See you later.
We all were like, but is that one of the ones that we had on the internet already? Like, didn't we just
Yes.
make that? Did you just copy and paste?
They copy and paste it for sure. Well, regardless, so it is very safe to assume that everyone was really hyped for the next details about the PlayStation 5.
Mhm.
And
I'm not
before
gonna lie,
we move
I
on-
did not even know this conference was happening until after it happened. I was like, oh, okay.
And to be fair, I really need to disclose this. We're gonna mainly make fun of the fact that the conference was a really awful PR move, because the conference itself, I understand why it exists. I'm kind of a tech guy. I appreciated I'd say like 70% I understood of what the conference was about. But here's the thing. a company is teasing an entire community for years about a new generation of consoles. Everyone's excited for it. Everyone wants it, and mostly everyone wants to hear details about it. So when I woke up and saw everywhere, Facebook's their own social medias, everywhere basically, advertising for a press conference detailing the PlayStation 5. Obviously, everyone had huge boners just flying all over the country because we're finally going to hear details about it. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And here's my gripe with it. We got teased even more. There was no screenshots on how the PlayStation 5 looks, no controllers, no
But that's
tech
not
demos.
the details. The details is the actual tech inside of it. It was the game designer conference. I have to bring this up, that this was being done at the game designer conference, which is made specifically for the people that make games.
Now here comes the main event. Keep going.
The main event. So of course they're going to go over how the technology that's inside of the PlayStation and how it exactly works and how, like, the little intricate parts of it. Of course, that's how it's going to be done. Game designers don't need to see, screenshots. And I get it, the press was...
But they do. Okay,
you can but half of the people that are already, first of all, tuning in, because none of them were actually there. That was CG, by the way. The audience was CG. It was not real. Already were either making the games or have been, because the development kits for the PS5 have been out for a while, since they have, like, the beginning of, like, this year, like, at the end of the year. So that being said, of course they're not gonna, half of the people in there already knew.
Okay.
I didn't know, and I'm glad I found out all the things. Fight.
All right, my turn now. That is just wrong. Because, yes, the main fucking line of developers from Sony obviously have press kits for a while now. They need to have games coming out as the PlayStation 5 comes out. But what about indie gamers? What about people that design PlayStation exclusives that didn't have those press kits? There was no photos of anything. They talked about a very powerful SSD without showing the actual SSD in motion. How do you theorize an SSD and a loading time without showing the tech of that loading time being displayed at you?
They explained how it works. They explained how it works
on spreadsheets. On spreadsheets.
They used it and they tested it. Most tech demos are pre-rendered with computers anyway, and you know that.
But at least game developers know what to expect.
But they're normally lies.
I'll be down here.
They are lies. But what's the difference between Sony's press conference and Microsoft's press conference?
Because then you don't have image to say, why doesn't it look like this? Instead, they're like, okay, that's what we're working with, so people can start guessing how it works.
So basically, it's a glorified pinky promise. That's what you're telling me.
It's a glorified pinky promises, which are the most serious of all promises. I don't want to hear anything else. We can all talk about the most serious.
He does pinky promises all the time.
Well, I don't break any pinky promises. I would break
but EA does. What's Sony from doing?
Sony doesn't do that. Normally, they release their games. They're focusing on the PS4, which they have mentioned a whole bunch of times. On the last games that they're putting in there. I will say that when I saw the conference, I was confused of why there was no tech demos and why there was, like, Windows screensavers. But at the same time, I was more interested in what the tech actually was. But then again, I assume that most game developers are like that.
But how do you hype people up for a conference and then do a conference like that? Because you gotta keep in mind, Oz, this was advertised in their social medias and everywhere on the internet.
But they didn't.
We wouldn't be having this discussion.
It was details of the PS5 and were not the details displayed.
But they knew better than anyone that there was going to be hundreds of thousands of normal... I was going to say normal kind of Jesus fans, I wish. Normal PlayStation fans just going to the press conference because they wanted to either see a screenshot or a tech demo explaining what you're doing. Keep in mind, Oz, this is not the first a press conference like this. Microsoft held one for the Xbox Series X. Guess what? They knew people were gonna watch that press conference, so they at least unveiled how the Xbox was gonna look. They showed a few tech demos here and there. That's how you do
demos
it.
were just current gen games. That the main thing. I watched the tech demos. I went to go watch the tech demos before this, and like the main tech demo that they have, the demonstration of features was like, oh, you can switch games. Great, lovely. But if the loading times are worse than the PS5, what's the point of that? That's not really showing you the power of the Xbox.
That. Jalvai, switch scenes to the specs, please.
Sure.
As you can very clearly see on the specs being displayed at you right now, it's not really what you're saying, because the specs clearly indicate that Xbox's SSD theoretically, obviously we haven't tested it yet, theoretically is better than Sony. Now, Sony has explained that they're utilizing a different method to loading games, and that really hypes me. That can be the future behind it, but there's nothing about Microsoft doing the same.
On paper, technology says nothing about a console, because if that was the case, the Xbox would have been the greatest system.
No, PlayStation 4 would have still won, even on technical standpoints.
I'm not talking about Xbox. Xbox One. I'm talking about the original Xbox.
Yeah, and then the
tech
360
specs between
went
that
on,
and the PS2 was way more of a distance than this current system.
and then the 360 went on to become more successful than the PlayStation.
Yeah, and the PS3 was a more powerful console.
No,
Again,
it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
It was in fact more powerful.
No, it wasn't.
Yes,
No, it wasn't. It was. It was proved that it wasn't. Regardless, you're right there, but you're forgetting that Microsoft just confirmed full-on compatibility with their previous consoles, not one console.
Well,
like
of course
the
they have to
PlayStation.
do that. They have no exclusives for the first 2 years.
They do.
No, they do not.
already. Halo
That's not
Infinite,
true.
buddy.
That's
Halo
not true.
Infinite.
Halo Infinite was announced for the Xbox X. That is not an exclusive. And if you're gonna say it's an exclusive, but you can still play it on PC, it is not an exclusive.
What's your PS5 exclusive then?
There are a couple games in work right now. I don't know what they are. They haven't announced them.
Microsoft literally
Actually,
said
there
the
is one.
same.
There is one. It's hold on, let me find where, because I have it right here.
Halo Infinite is gonna.
Godfall. Godfall is in fact a game that's coming out.
It's not an exclusive too.
Yes, it is.
It's not an
PS5
exclusive.
Okay. I'm gonna take your word on that. Let me go find out.
This is great. This is just. I'm just sitting here in the back, just like, Mommy, Daddy, why are you fighting?
Hopefully, I'm the mommy. I mean, hopefully, I'm the daddy.
All right.
Basically, Microsoft confirmed Halo Infinite for the new generation of consoles, not as a console exclusive, which I think is great. You can also play it on PC, which is magnificent. But that's a step forward. That's not a step backwards.
I'm just saying exclusives sell consoles.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry, the first
exclusives sell consoles, but the royalty of paying less for a better PC also sells consoles. And the Xbox is not trying to be the next console exclusive platform. They're trying to be the next PC console.
But that's not what people want.
It is.
It's not.
It
It's
is.
not. Then the Xbox One X would be winning against the PS4, which it is not.
Okay. Can I just
No,
chime in real
because
quick?
the PlayStation has better exclusives that you cannot play in the Xbox. I'll give you that.
That's
But
exactly
you
what I'm saying.
cannot be talking about exclusives without knowing them first. Microsoft might release some really good exclusives for the PC and Xbox. That's the thing I'm trying to bring here. You don't know
Not an
Microsoft.
exclusive.
It is because
It's
you can
not
play it on
exclusive.
PlayStation. Oz.
No,
You
it's
can't play
not.
it on
But that does not make it an exclusive. Godfall is only, if in that case, Godfall is an exclusive because it is that and Windows. That is the only two things that has been announced for. And then you're saying it wasn't an exclusive.
But if you can play the premise of the Xbox Series X is that if you can play it on PC, you can play it on a
It
console.
was not announced for the Xbox Series X, and it's
No,
currently
but if
still
it's
not
on-
listed for it. It is
if
not
it's
listed
not-
as one of its games.
If it's for the PC, the Xbox Game Series X is very well
So I can
rumored
play
that's
Age
gonna
of
have Steam-
Empires 2. I can play Age of Empires 2 on the Xbox
Probably.
Series X.
Probably.
Okay, with a controller, you're
Actually,
gonna...
because Age of Empires is actually Microsoft owned.
That does not necessarily mean that it's going to be. So you're saying every PC game ever is available to play on the Xbox Series X. You are you're ready to throw that down.
Not completely because it's rumor. Age of Empires is currently played on the Xbox Game Pass, and the Xbox Game Pass shares the same platform as the Xbox One.
I have
Meaning
the
that you can
Xbox
play
Game Pass. I can't play it on an Xbox. I can only play it on my computer.
because you don't have an Xbox.
I do have an
there's-
Xbox.
Then you can play it. You can play it. Yeah, I literally did that last week on a friends of mine. I shared my goddamn Game Pass.
They're playing on a. How does that even work?
You just download the app Xbox for Games Pass on your Xbox, and you can literally play your Xbox games on both platforms. That's the main selling point of the Xbox Game Pass.
Us is literally just like trying to figure.
You can
it
play
out.
Age of Empires right now on any Xbox. I don't quote me on this. I'm gonna search this, but I think you even had Age of Empires Xbox 360. Let me see if there is.
Here's what I'll say though, that okay, just from watching the PS5 conference, it was a total complete shite show. The reason why those people were CGI was because the audience in real life was sleeping at their computers. Okay, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to break the law and go to a conference and then die?
No, there's multiple
Exactly.
ways.
That's why we had to do it. No, it wasn't CG because people didn't want to be there. It was CG because of a virus, and I'm not naming it this time. So
but
we all
okay.
know what it is.
Okay, but
Thanks, buddy.
here's what I'll say though, is that 50 minutes of who was the guy who tech demoed it?
We call it Mark. I
Mark.
think his name is Mark.
It's Mark. He's the guy that created Jack 2.
But Mark,
Actually, he's the creator of the Jack and Daxter series.
fair enough. But when Mark actually presented it, he did not say or stutter the entire 50 minutes. Like that.
Yeah.
Like that, I will
Impressive.
give a round of applause because
That's impressive. I
that-
can't
that
even
is-
do that,
that
and
is
I go
very
on
impressive.
stage.
But okay, here's some of my takes, right? Because here's the thing. I understand it was for the Game Developers Conference or GDC, right? But there were casual gamers watching, right? Because it was advertised for the general populace. It wasn't just for game developers. So
I will say the error in this press conference, the major error, and I think we all can agree, is that they didn't advertise what it was well. They didn't advertise
I'll
that
give
it
you
was
that.
a conference
I
for
want to
game
add-
designers about the technology inside the PlayStation.
I want to expand on that error and say this press conference shouldn't be done without unveiling the PlayStation 5 at the very least how it looks. Because the general population, even if it was advertised in a completely different way, would still tune up to that and fall asleep.
So here's one thing that I read, right? The majority of the people who were actually watching, less than 1% of them actually understood what the hell Sony was actually talking about. Less than 1%! So,
And that includes a lot of game developers
So-
that are not so tech savvy as people think.
So, in my opinion, what could have been done better was relating the specs that they were talking about, the SSD, the teraflops, and everything. But then they should have related that to how game developers can use that towards their games, or relay that information to terms that we, as casual consumers, can understand. Like, okay, these 10 teraflops, what does that mean for us? You know what I mean? But instead, they done nothing of that sort. And instead of watching a reveal or the road to PS5, instead it felt like I was going back to college, even though I'm self-quarantined. It felt like I was in a college lecture. Because it
Just
did not...
quarantine. I'm literally legally quarantined. I cannot leave.
Because it didn't relate to the general consumer, and that is why it has a 75% like to dislike ratio. 75%, or excuse me, 25% did not actually enjoy what Sony was unveiling because they had no idea what they were unveiling.
So I'm gonna bring it back to the road to PS5. The road.
More. Sorry, I think it was much more, but because both Microsoft and PlayStation fans, like I'd say a good 60% defend the console, even if it does a mistake.
Right.
Back when Microsoft announced that DRM no one really liked, a lot of them were like, but that's really good for video games, you know? Who doesn't have a connection these days?
But one thing
What? You're going on vacation and you don't have internet there? Well, too bad, I guess. You shouldn't play games while on vacation.
One thing I am
giving people other games. What are you, socialist?
One thing I will say though that I am super disappointed about is the backwards compatibility when it comes to the PlayStation 5, because I believe what they said was it was backwards compatible up until PlayStation 3. But what about the fantastic games from the original PlayStation and PlayStation 2?
I honestly don't care about that much.
Because
I'm gonna throw that out there.
Because there are tons and tons of fantastic games on PS2 that I can't play on PS3. I understand what they said. From what my knowledge is they're releasing some games on PlayStation Now that were game releases of PS2 and PS1. But if I still have discs for my PS2, I can't insert it and play my PS2 games.
The main reason why they're doing that, just to throw that out there.
Let me cover this. I know exactly why. Let me explain why it's really hard for any console to have backwards compatibility. Basically, every system runs on a specific architecture. Even if you change one line of code, it kind of is a completely different architecture. What that means is that sometimes it's really hard for game developers to develop a game for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 because it almost requires an entire new code. That works on PlayStation 5's favor this time because they have PlayStation 4's architecture. But there was a very big jump between the PlayStation 2 architecture and the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's not really as easy as, we want to implement it, let's do it. Because your processor and your components in a console need to be able to read as a PlayStation 2 or as a PlayStation 1. Because back then... Estou a streamar. Não posso. Não posso. Sorry about that. As a PlayStation, as the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 were, some, if not 95% of those games, their frame rate is tied to the actual game engine, meaning that if you have 60 frames instead of 30, it's going to accelerate the game or literally break it.
Yeah.
So
it happens a lot.
it's almost like a surgery being implemented in PlayStation 5. How do you do that? How do you make that happen? It's not that it's impossible. Xbox is going to be doing it, but it's harder on a Sony console because they're not utilizing Windows. They're utilizing their own system.
Right.
However, again, if Microsoft does it, Sony kind of is made to look bad if they don't do it.
I think
which
it's
is the main
possible that
purpose.
it could happen. I think one of the major problems, the PS3 is what everyone goes with when they say, because I have the original PS3, like the original $800 one because basically it had the PS3 as well as to play PS2 and PS1 games. They had to put a PS2 inside of the PS3. That was how it had to work. Because of a similar reason, they could not run because PlayStation loves revolutionizing their entire system, which is a thing. This system is less. The PlayStation 5 for the PlayStation 5 is a little bit less so. And what they've said is the top 100 games are going to get the priority for the PS4 and PS4 Pro to go in, but they're going to work on other games, and also you can do like HDD, like you can they have installing drives that you can put in other stuff.
Right.
So that there is possibly ways that you can get around the backwards compatibility that way. Now discs are a major problem because we're in Blu-ray, and those discs are not Blu-ray, and Blu-ray players do not do a great job reading things that are not Blu-ray, and by that I mean they will destroy them.
There are players that are really not at their cheapest bubblegums that can read both Blu-ray and DVDs. In fact, the PlayStation 3 did it.
Okay, but
I know that the PlayStation 3 did it.
Here's the thing, though. Another way that, because I do enjoy nostalgia, I am a nostalgia chaser, I will admit. Most of the times, whenever I want to play PS2 games, I have to download an emulator. So, some of my best games, one of the best games that I remember playing were the old Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Silent Hill, Jack and Dexter, the precursor Legacy, Devil May Cry, Eco, Bully. Like, these are some great games that weren't ported over to the PS3 series. So
they're in the PS4, and you can also play them on the PS3, at least the original.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, though. It's like the
price point was $800.
Yeah, but there's tons and tons of great PS2 games that weren't ported over. That is my main issue. So whenever I want to play some of these games that I have discs for, I literally have to download an emulator on my computer and plug in an Xbox controller because, Microsoft and Xbox, it works, but I can't play it with my old DualShock 2 or DualShock 3 controller. And,
I was like, you can do it with DualShock 4. DualShock 4 works with it.
Yeah.
Or customized.
Right.
PS4
but having that authentic feel is no longer there.
You're gonna sacrifice your authentic feel by even if theoretically you had a PlayStation 5 that ran PS1 games.
Exactly.
It's still not the authentic feel.
Backwards compatibility is a nice thing, but not why I buy. Throw that out there, but that's not really a thing against Xbox. I think it's a great thing that they have it.
I think we need to move on because we're actually reaching close to the end. We still have one topic to talk about.
Yeah.
This is a new thing we're trying out. This is a new type of informative side of things that we're trying out, which is we're going to be talking about the releases coming next week. And again, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, huge disclosure: we cannot cover literally every single game that is coming out. That would require literally dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of actual information dumping, of research, and we require more than one staff member doing it, so we can't really go overboard with this. So we're covering kind of the main indie games and AAA games coming out next week, and we're gonna keep doing that until we can actually make this a more viable option for us to actually get monetized. So starting with March 23rd, there's no particular game release coming today, so we're advancing to March 23rd. Obviously, the big one, the one a lot of people are expecting, obviously me included, with the VR. Ps5 Alex, really looking forward to it.
Looks so good.
Absolutely.
It looks absolutely amazing.
Absolutely needs to be a big hit for VR, and I hope it does.
Me too.
Not going to break any record sales. Maybe on the VR side, most likely, but when it comes to actual sales compared to the others, I don't think it will. I think
Valve
it's too
has enough
soon.
money. They don't. They know. They know.
Game No actually released an interview saying that they know the game's not going to sell well, but
Yeah.
they're not looking for the game to sell well. They're looking to expand on what we already know about gaming and make it much better. And that's what their goal with Ps5 is, which is something that I really enjoy about Valve.
Yeah. I both absolutely love and hate Valve. I love them because when they actually do something, it's wonderful, and they do it for all the right reasons. They're like, oh, we don't really care if this makes money. We're just doing it because like we like gaming and thinks this is a cool idea. I hate them because they never do anything. They wait
Okay.
a lot because they do Valve and they do Steam. I get it.
Yeah.
They have all the money in the world.
Java, you have something to add?
Yeah. So on March 24th, Bleeding Edge is going to come out on PC and Xbox. I will be doing a review that will be dropping this week on it. So go ahead and be on the lookout for that. Oz?
Let's see. The game that I'm interested in is coming out on the 31st, so I don't want to.
Okay.
jump all the way there.
All right. So next we have Ghost Recon Breaking Point. Actually, a little note on Bleeding Edge. Little spoiler here. I think Java is not really going to enjoy the game that much. I tried it. I tried the open beta for it.
If you guys saw my video on Valhalla, boy did I roast them.
It was at least in my experience. Keep in mind it was an open beta, so it might be suggested to change.
That is fair.
There was clear balancing issues between the characters. The actual hit detection and server connectivity wasn't really the best, but hopefully that was because they had a huge influx in gamers.
Yeah.
But I really don't think so. When you hit a good combo, it doesn't really feel as satisfying as God of War 1 for the PlayStation 2. So, I'm not really that hopeful. Hopefully the game proves me wrong. I'm really excited to see Jalvai's review on it.
Hopefully.
Next up we have Ghost Recon Breaking Ubisoft. Breaking Point.
I like it.
It's gonna release a Deep State DLC, which is coming out on March 24th for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It is safe to assume this is basically for the 1%, the 0.1% of population in this world.
Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
See, we talked about Ghost Recon Breaking Point and some.
And then all of a sudden things are breaking and people are breaking through the windows. Fine.
On top of DLCs, March 26th, Borderlands 3 is going to release their Guns, Love, and Tentacles, the Marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock DLC. Something that
You skipped.
Huh?
You skipped 2 games, buddy. Actually, 4 games.
We're doing each game in total.
It's a game that it's a DLC that I'm particularly excited about.
But before that, we have Moons of Madness, which is a indie game coming for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's I believe. Let me check that very quick. Yes, it's set out to be a horror style game. The game is a scientific exploration of Mars with some supernatural and Lovecraftian style included. So I'm really excited for it. It was made by Rock Pocket Games, a small indie company. So we gotta shine some light into that, shall I? Next we have War Tile, which is also coming on the same day, March 24th, for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, developed by Playwood and Whisper Games. Again, it's an RTS. It's a strategy game where you control a warband of Vikings. It's set like more on a tabletop game, on a figurine type game. You will literally be controlling figurines, and it's set out to try to bring the the board games fanatics into the gaming world. Next up we have, I lost my list, there you go, 2 Point Hospital. It's DLC is coming for it, not really anything interesting. It's only coming for PC March 25th. Assemble, with care, PC exclusive, coming out on March 26th, developed by BAFTA Games. No. Us Too, but developed by Us Too. I'm sorry, I was reading the nominations, not the developer. It was a game previously on Android, so a lot of people are gonna kind of sleep on this one. But it does have a very cutesy art style. It does have a very interesting type of game. It was developed only in 18 months, so wish you could cheap out some money for them.
Yeah.
I'm all aboard. A game called Biped. Biped?
Biped.
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 I love Biped.
And there's not really any
Top
fuss
10
about this game.
Biped.
It's gonna be a co-op. It's gonna be a co-op adventure game with a strong focus on moment-to-moment collaboration between two players. Basically, you need friends. So I'm completely out of it. I can't have friends.
What are friends?
Art style looks cutesy.
Shut him down. Why don't you?
Art style looks cutesy. The game looks very well designed. Sorry for becoming all
shadow.
black there. Then Borderlands 3 DLC. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I'm particularly super excited about Borderlands 3 because the PC release is actually out. Or excuse me, the Steam release is out.
Sorry, I needed to flex in the dark there.
So Steam
I'm
is
just gonna throw this out there. I don't like Borderlands 3.
your opinion. I personally love the game. I personally love what they did with the game. There are some weapons that are incredible. I love it, just personally. Okay. But on top of that, the Foundation DLC for Control releases on the same day. And then we also have a game called Grand Guilds releasing on the same day for PC and Switch. It is a story-driven tactical RPG with unique card combat. And then on March 27th, it's going to be Grand Blue Fantasy Versus releasing for the PS4. Lost Worlds Beyond the Page will be releasing on Stadia. I have no idea what that is.
No one's gonna play it.
But that releases
it's
on
a
March
good
27th.
fire starter. It's a good fire starter.
Lost
Burns
Worlds
like-
Beyond Page is a game. Sorry, worth mentioning that it was on PS4 already.
Fair enough.
It's just releasing to the Stadia
So
too.
people will play it.
Fair enough.
Or have
and
fun.
then
People
we
did
have-
play it, and that's why it's actually being ported for Stadia.
Yeah. And then we have One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 releasing for the
I'm
PC,
so excited.
PS4, Xbox One, and Switch releasing March 27th. We have Saints
Wait.
Row 4. Go ahead.
Played the previous one.
Yeah.
Pretty good game.
I've actually-
Honestly,
I'm
it's
not
one of the
gonna
best
lie.
Warriors games ever made, and I have no
Yeah.
idea why specifically
Yeah.
this one is real good.
It really is. But One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, I don't know about it. I think the royalty kind of died on 3. Let's see if it actually gets something going out of it.
Maybe we'll
Releasing for
finally
PC,
find One
PS4, and Xbox, and Switch.
Yeah.
Switch? Okay.
Yeah. Saints Row 4 Re-Elected is coming out on Switch on March 27th. It's just a
I'm sure
re-release
that
for
will
the
be a
Switch.
technical marvel.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's basically Saints Row 4 with all the DLCs included.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm just saying on the Switch, most don't do great.
That is false, sir.
Most
Devil
ports
May
that
Cry-
were not originally designed for
Ooh.
Devil
like-
May Cry series. Hello.
Oh, I fucking
Beautifully
love
great.
the Devil May Cry series.
I
Okay,
have
yes.
Devil
You
May
kidding
Cry
me?
1 and 2 over here. I hate 2, but I have it over here. Works wonderful.
Okay, my favorite
but that's a
DMC game
PlayStation
is
2 game.
DMC 3 and DMC 4. Changed my mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. Completely fair. I'm not gonna change your mind. To everyone, I like DMC 5.
I've
But
actually
are-
never
but are
played
you
DMC
kidding me?
Never
Are
played
you kidding
DMC
me?
5.
I played it. I stopped playing because I wanted to stream it, but I wanted to also buy it, so I haven't played it yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But are you kidding me? Playing PlayStation 2 games portable, or how is that something bad?
No. I never said it was bad. I'm just saying about first of all, Saints Row 4 already bad. you're already at a low spot. was not great, and then putting it on the Switch. There's a lot of Switch games that are just you're making a lot of sacrifices to put it on the Switch. There are some games like oh my god, Skyrim, that game that for some reason that actually worked out pretty well. I know. I wanted to forget about the game that's all being released again. And if it's not a technical, like, if there's not a lot of, like, technical aspects to it, and let's just face it, although there's a lot of things to be said about the Elder Scrolls of Skyrim, it's not exactly a technical marvel in terms of, like, graphics and processing things. There are other things that make it good.
For sure.
But I would not say that you can sacrifice things in that game without sacrificing a lot.
Witcher 3.
I'm surprised that came out well. But that's also a fantastic developer.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that when you're playing on a Switch, most people utilize the Switch like I am utilizing it right now. That's why the Switch Lite came out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you play on a screen like this, you don't need to utilize full HD resolutions because you're basically occupying space where it doesn't even belong. The PlayStation 4 didn't even utilize full HD resolutions when the very first wave of games came out. That's because
all I'm saying is that, like, if you already have the game and you don't, Switch port is not going to be the thing that changes your mind.
I like how
AAA games don't really have a place on the Switch, regardless. I was completely against Overwatch. Why would I even play Overwatch on a Switch?
Overwatch is on Switch?
Yes, it
Overwatch is on Switch now. Yeah, and
which means that Tracer can be in Smash.
I played it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I played it, and it is awful. It is absolutely awful. The frame rate's not really ideal.
Look at KJ just flexing his Switch on us.
Like,
Switch is upstairs.
I don't have a Switch.
My Switch basically serves for indie games or for games that have been ported well. Mega Man 14, Mega Man 11 or 14.
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley, I have it in here too. They're really good games just to pass the time. I go on a trip. I don't go because of the pandemic now. I go on a trip. I always suck up on some batteries on my Switch, as in I recharge my Switch. I can do a very pleasant journey playing Devil May Cry or playing Stardew Valley or whatever I feel like doing.
The Switch is a phenomenal console. I'm not telling.
It's
honestly my favorite console that's come out this entire generation.
But I was getting to a point here. But when you're in the middle of a train station, you're not really looking to do this with your Switch because there is motion controls on Overwatch. I might add, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. You control, for example, Hammond doing this.
What?
It's good.
Oh my god!
That's how I play games. That's how a gamer plays.
That's how a gamer plays games. We do this.
What's up, gamers? Are you using your?
Let me aim with Widow.
It's like you're playing an augmented reality game. It's like. All right.
We need to. There's still more on this list.
Yeah.
There's no more on this list. What are you guys talking about? It's from 22nd all the way to 29.
I think we are done with the podcast.
Yeah, we are finally done with the podcast, boys and girls. Very good podcasts.
Yeah. I agree.
Hopefully, we're gonna be having 2 videos come out next week. I can't make any promises.
Hopefully.
Because our other editor, we don't know if we can completely rely on him or not yet.
But content creator. There's no editors anymore.
Yeah,
Content creator.
Yeah, we're all editors now, even me.
Yep. Yeah. Practically.
I
We
was
all
really-
edit ourselves.
I need to add up that this is the very first video I actually edit for real in years. So I was so scared. I had no idea what I was gonna do, but
And
it turned out
outperformed all of us.
it outperformed all of you.
That just means we all have to keep outperforming each other.
I definitely-
consistent is the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely have a few gripes with that video. I still do. The audio at the beginning of the video is not the best, and kind of brings a negative look to the rest of the video. But as my friend said it, as the editors over here said it, when the
Small
video started
improvements.
playing out, I was actually doing much better than at the beginning,
Yeah.
which is comforting. You can expect more videos coming from me. You can expect more videos coming from the main guy that works on IndieHub and has the entire project in his name, Ryan. We're all editors now. We're all gonna start uploading twice a week. Very important to shine a very good spotlight on that. Obviously, trying to. Next week is going to be Jalvi and Ryan. Hopefully, Ryan really can bring a video up. He's a very busy man. And
He'll be on the podcast because I have
and-
nothing
and-
prepared.
Hopefully.
And hopefully he will be on the next podcast presenting himself as the rightful heir to this.
The true king.
The true king has approached. And then we're going to do weekly rotations where the videos come out. Where, for example, this week is going to be Jalvi and Ryan. Then it's going to be me and Oz. And then go back Jalvi and Ryan. And so on and so forth. Details about our next videos. Jalvi already spoke about the aforementioned Bleeding Edge. And
Yep.
maybe we're also going to be putting a review on Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Then we're going to have a top 5 from us coming alongside I have no idea. When it comes to me, I still
Another
haven't
top
decided
five. A
yet.
top 5 on top.
Yeah,
top
double
5,
top
top
fives.
10. Yeah.
Bam.
The top 10 top 5s.
Yeah. I'll.
Good video plan.
What I'm.
God.
What I'm. This is early access information, but I'm planning on branching out a little bit on a different type of series from Ons and Jalvi, because we want our videos to kind of have our own flavors to it. We don't want Jalvi to be exactly the same as Ons, to be exactly the same as me. Why having different people if that's the case? So I'm gonna try to not make a review. I'm gonna try to make something video game related and information related. But I don't know if it's the next video coming from me. Ryan, I'm gonna talk to him, see if we can do something different out of it too, because we want to be not only appealing to as many people as we can, but also keeping our personality and flair to each video.
Yep.
That's basically all we have to say, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this podcast. Thank you. If you're watching this podcast that is postponed, we definitely had a lot of views when it comes to the other podcasts.
Yeah.
They consistently have been pulling 28 to 30 views. Really good.
We appreciate
Twice.
your
We
views.
love you. We love
Yeah.
you.
Say
Please
your
remember to check out your socials. We do have a Twitter, we do have an Instagram, and we do have a Facebook. You guys don't necessarily have to check out the Facebook, but definitely check out the Twitter and Instagram.
We still don't have a Facebook, Jalvi. Yeah. Facebook, forget it. Instagram and Twitter, absolutely. You should check it
That's
out.
where it's happening.
You can check out all 3 of us. We do Twitch streams, and we all have our social media links, which should be in the description down below.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.